What if the most powerful presence on television was the one that barely tried to stand out? No shouting, no drama, no desperate need for attention. And yet, for more than 40 years, Pat Sajak walked into millions of homes every night and quietly became part of people's lives, so naturally that most didn't even realize it until he was gone. His goodbye after season 41 wasn't loud. No grand spectacle, just a calm exit. And strangely, that's when people felt it the most. That empty space. That missing rhythm. Because the truth is, Pat wasn't just hosting a game show, you were living a routine with him. Dinner ends. TV turns on. The wheel spins. Letters appear. And somehow, without thinking, you're playing along. Have you ever noticed how rare that is? But his story didn't start with comfort. It started with instability. Born in 1946 in Chicago, Pat grew up in a working-class home shaped by loss. His father struggled with alcoholism and passed away when Pat was still young. That kind of absence doesn't just hurt, it reshapes how you see the world. You stop craving chaos. You start craving control. Stability becomes everything. As a kid, he didn't dream of fame. He was fascinated by voices, radio hosts, late-night conversations, the quiet power of someone speaking into the unknown. He would pretend to host shows with a wooden spoon as a microphone. Not to be famous, but to feel heard. And maybe, to understand others. His early career. Far from glamorous. At one point, he was reading English news on a Spanish radio station where most listeners didn't even understand him. Imagine that. Speaking, but not being heard. Yet instead of quitting, he learned something deeper. How to keep going even when there's no applause. That lesson would define everything. Then came the Vietnam War. Pat joined the military and eventually worked as a broadcaster on Armed Forces Radio, greeting soldiers with Good Morning Vietnam. Not entertainment. Not performance. Just a steady voice in uncertain times. And that's where his style was born, calm, controlled, never overwhelming. Just enough. When he returned home, success didn't welcome him. He struggled. Took odd jobs. Faced rejection after rejection. But he kept showing up. Quietly. Consistently. Until one opportunity led to another, and eventually to a struggling game show called Wheel of Fortune. At the time, the show was unstable. Nearly cancelled. No clear future. When Pat stepped in around 1981, he wasn't the obvious choice. Not flashy. Not famous. But here's what made him different. He didn't try to dominate the stage. He let the game breathe. He let contestants shine. He stayed in the background, and somehow became essential. By 1983, something unexpected happened. The show exploded. Millions tuned in, over 40 million at its peak. Families didn't just watch, they participated. Kids learned words. Adults competed from their couches. And Pat. He was the invisible glue holding it all together. But even he wasn't immune to failure. In 1989, he tried to break out with his own talk show. Bigger stage. Bigger expectations. And it failed within 15 months. Why? Because hosting a system and being the system are two very different things. That moment could have ended him. Instead, he returned to what he did best. And that's the lesson. In a world obsessed with standing out, Pat Sajak built a legacy by doing the opposite. He didn't chase attention. He didn't reinvent himself every year. He mastered consistency. The kind most people overlook, but deeply rely on.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates on your favorite stars and their incredible journeys. Until next time, keep shining.